The morning started like a punch to the chest, not the kind you shrug off, but the kind that makes you question if the universe has it out for you. I woke to silence, the kind that's wrong, like the world forgot to hit play on its soundtrack. My oxygen concentrator, my lifeline, wasn't humming its usual lullaby. Instead, there was a void, the sort of quiet that screams trouble. My lungs, already on permanent strike, tightened in protest. "All right, Tom, don't lose it," I rasped to myself, voice like sandpaper. I figure maybe a breaker tripped, or some rogue squirrel chewed the lines. Wishful thinking, dragging myself out of bed. Each breath felt like hauling a rusty anchor. The backup battery on my machine blinked a single, mocking green light. 2 hours left, maybe if I was lucky. Luck hasn't been my buddy since the doc gave my lungs the "better luck next life" speech 2 years back. Significant impairment, he'd said, all sympathetic eyes. Translation: my breathing's a busted engine, and this whirring box is the only thing keeping me from checking out early. I stumbled to the breaker box. Every switch was smugly in place. No trip circuits. My gaze drifted to the window, and that's when my squirrel theory took a nosedive into hell. There she was, Linda, queen of the Willow Creek HOA, strutting like she owned the cul-de-sac. Mid-50s, armed with a VY sword that could block a solar flare and a clipboard clutched like a holy relic. In her other hand, a pair of wire cutters gleaming with the zeal of a suburban dictator. She stood by my power meter saw, "Please, God, don't touch that," saw power meter. My blood ran cold, then boiled. I banged the window, a pathetic thud. "Linda," I wheezed, voice cracking. "What the hell are you doing?" She looked up, calm as a nun, like she'd just solved world hunger. "Mr. Carter," she chirped, her voice dripping with fake sunshine. "Just handling a minor infraction. No need to fuss." She waved the cutters toward my garden gnome, Percy, a cheery little guy with a fishing rod my granddaughter picked out. "Your gnome's trespassing on Mrs. Hawthorne's petunia buffer by 3/4 of an inch." Section 12, subsection B, paragraph 4. Egregious violation. My gnome? Saw Percy saw. He's about as threatening as a teddy bear. "Linda, that's my medical equipment." I tried to roar, but it was more a squeak. "I need that," a saw breathe saw. Panic clawed my chest, making every gasp a battle. Linda tilted her head, a smile cold enough to frost glass. "Rules are rules, Mr. Carter. Non-compliant decor means amenity suspension. Power's an amenity for compliant residents." She paused, savoring the moment. "Also, your machine's humming disrupts the neighborhood's natural soundscape." 3 complaints documented. Then, with a snip that echoed like a guillotine, she cut the line. Inside, my concentrator's green light died, replaced by a shrill beep as the battery kicked in. My heart didn't just sink, it cratered. Linda tucked her cutters into her fanny pack because, of course, she had one and sauntered off, Leah VYing me, gasping in disbelief. This wasn't just an HOA spat. This was attempted murder with gardening tools. I grabbed my emergency oxygen tank, heavy as a cinder block, and secured the cannula. The hiss of oxygen was a faint comfort against the rising terror. I dialed 911, fingers shaking. My HOA president cut my power. I panted to the dispatcher. "My life support's on battery." Her calm tone grated. "Sir, an officer can come for a neighbor dispute." "Did she threaten you directly?" "She threatened my saw existence, saw." I croaked. They promised a report, but utility issues were for the power company. Useless. The police could take hours, the power company days. My battery was already fading, and the tank wouldn't last forever. Then a spark in my oxygen-starved brain. Linda lived by her precious HOA rulebook, a tome she'd once used to find me for unapproved mailbox font. Somewhere in its pages was a vague clause about temporary necessary equipment for emergencies. This was an emergency, all right, and Linda had just handed me the ammunition. I called my doctor, Dr. Patel, a godsend in sneakers. "Slow breaths, Tom," she soothed. "Save the tank's oxygen. Ambulance if you feel dizzy." Next, I Googled generator rental near me. First hit, Big Joe's Generators. "When you need the juice, we bring the boom." "Perfect. Joe, I need a beast," I told the gruff voice on the line. Think rock concert or a house that's pissed off. Joe chuckled like tumbling gravel. Got a 40-ton diesel, fresh off a hospital job. She's a fuel hog, but power's a small town. Where to, boss? I grinned, dark and slow. Willow Creek. Hurry, Joe. I've got an HOA tyrant to school and a life to save mine. Less than an hour later, a rumble shook the street like a storm rolling in. Neighbors poked heads out, curious as meerkats. Linda, pruning her roses, didn't notice until it was too late. Big Joe's truck, a beast that made tanks look dainty, turned onto our cul-de-sac. We bring the juice, painted in letters VY Cybele from space. Joe, a grizzly in flannel, leaned out the cab and spotted me on my porch, tank hissing. Mr. Carter, your power cavalry's here. Where's this beauty parking? I pointed to my lawn, right beside Linda's prized petunias. Right there, Joe. Precision parking. We wouldn't want to ruin the aesthetic harmony. Joe's grin was pure mischief. A man with a plan. I like it. As Joe maneuvered the monster, Linda's jaw dropped, her cutters clattering to the ground. Joe and his silent partner, Nate, unloaded the generatory yellow, roaring sculpture of defiance. With a theatrical flip of switches, it roared to life, shaking the earth. Birds fled. Windows rattled. Inside, my concentrator sighed happily back online. I took a deep, sweet breath, nearly crying with relief. That's the stuff? I muttered, patting the machine. Linda, though, was a volcano. She stormed over, face purple, fists clenched. Carter, she shrieked over the din. This abomination violates every ordinance. My petunias are traumatized, saw. I grabbed the HOA rulebook from my porch swing, opening to a marked page. Actually, Linda, I said, calm as a monk, page 82, section F, paragraph 3, temporary equipment for emergencies. My emergency, which you saw caused by cutting my power over a gnome, makes this necessary. As for your petunias, call it a free massage. She sputtered. This is horticultural terrorism. My lungs disagree, I shot back. And Percy's considering a defamation suit for being called excessively whimsical. The police arrived, lights flashing. Linda dragged them over, ranting about noise and property values. Officer Grant, a weary veteran, eyed the generator, then me. What's the deal? I explained Linda's wire-cutting spree, backed by my doorbell cam. Officer Ruiz, the rookie, stifled a laugh. Grant's patience vanished. Ma'am, HOAs don't get to cut power, especially to medical equipment. That's reckless endangerment, maybe worse. Linda insisted her bylaws allowed it. Grant shut her down. The gnome's irrelevant. The generator's legal for his emergency. It stays. Linda looked like she'd swallowed a lemon. Next, I called Sarah's Electric Sparks. Sarah, with neon green hair and a tool belty VY than her, took one look at the generator, my oxygen tube, and Linda's death glare. I need coffee and the full story, including gnome drama, she said. She inspected the meter box and whistled. She butchered this. New box, new conduit, utility sign-off. Hours, maybe days. The neighborhood buzzed. Some grumbled about the noise, but others, fed up with Linda's reign, gave me thumbs-ups. Mrs. Hawthorne, whose petunias were traumatized, winked. Linda called my wind chimes a banshee attack. Keep that beast roaring, Tom. A city inspector, Mr. Stone, arrived, clipboard in hand. Linda pounced, demanding the generator's removal. I explained her stunt, and Joe handed over permits. Stone's eyebrow twitched a facial earthquake. Ma'am, you cut his power. That's illegal. The generator's permitted for his emergency. It stays. I'm reporting your actions to the city attorney. Linda's face cycled through rage, shock, and defeat. That evening, Linda called an HOA meeting aiming to turn the neighborhood against me. It backfired. Mr. Ellison, usually quiet, called her out. You cut his life support over a gnome. Mrs. Hawthorne added, my petunias love the VY Bratians. Your actions were despicable. I stood, oxygen tank hissing. I'm sorry for the noise, folks. I'd rather use my quiet machine, but Linda's wire cutters made that impossible. The generator's gone when my power's back. Rachel, a lawyer, dropped the hammer. Linda, you broke the law. This HOA's wide open to a lawsuit. The board suggested Linda step down. Her reign was over. By afternoon, Sarah restored my power. The generator went quiet, and my concentrator hummed softly. Joe and Nate loaded their beast, Joe shaking my hand like he meant to break it. Call if that gnome acts up again. Linda got served legal papers. Her house went up for sale, and she fled to minimalist Levying somewhere far away. The HOA, now led by Rachel, banned utility tampering. Percy, backed by my azaleas, sported a tiny firefighter helmet from Mrs. Hawthorne. He's a local hero, complete with offerings from passing kids. Willow Creek's quieter now, a good quiet, where we respect each other's right to breathe. Sometimes I hear the ghost of that generator's roar, a reminder that to win peace, you sometimes need a hell of a racket. Sitting on my porch, iced tea in hand, I toast Percy and his new mini generator buddy, a nod to the day we took on a tyrant and won. So what do you think? Was Linda just enforcing rules? Or did she cross a line in a VY laney? Should I have gone nuclear with the generator? Or was there a quieter way to fight back? And what about HOA's guardians of order or petty kingdoms gone wild? Drop your thoughts below, hit that like button, and subscribe for more tales of suburban showdowns.